Hey guys, that's a new Rick Springfield song that he asked me to play on. This video is an interview with Rick and an explanation and demonstration of some of the guitar parts I played. Click the link below if you want to check out the online masterclass. The first 2 weeks are always free, so you can check it out and see if it's right for you. Hey Rick, tell me a little bit about this song that I just played on.
I wanted to do like a kind of a Hey Jude, obviously that's the blueprint of the song. I wanted to do a kind of big, long Hey Jude type ending. And when we're starting to cut together, I've just seen the first cut, actually. It's really cool. It's like a Zoom session, and everybody is singing and some kids dancing, and it's actually really, really cool. I'm very excited about finishing. We should have it finished pretty soon and put it out.
I actually really loved the lyrics. I can relate to them a lot in this thing we're all going through.
Yeah,
it's a really nice.
I wanted to do an uplifting song, and without being too sappy. I think we kind of got close with what we ended up with. You played some amazing stuff. Your slide playing on the chorus makes the chorus. I told you that before, but it's absolutely friggin' brilliant. My wife.
Hello, how are you? It's nice to get a compliment from you because it only happens when you mean it, so I really appreciate that. It was luck. I mean, sometimes I felt really good about it, and I was just really pleased that you liked it tue.
I've never not liked anything you've played. Honestly. I mean, even back in the old days, back in the 80s, when we were in, recording some of those songs, and you'd play something, and I'd go, yeah, that works. I need to play something else. And I go, well, that works too.
I want to let people know that after the 80s, when you had your huge success, you've actually been more successful kind of on your own after that. You do tons of gigs all the time. You're always making records. And you sell them to your fans, and you're touring all over the country and all over the world all the time, although not now. You have to take a break now.
Yeah, nobody's traveling right now.
I mean, the thing I've always respected about you after our run together in the 80s is that you never stopped. You're constantly recording, doing different conceptual records, and you're constantly doing gigs and different conceptual gigs. You do solo gigs. You do like partnerships and duos. You do the cruise ship things. I just want people to know that you're out there all the time, and you'll be out there again after this thing settles down, won't you?
I sure should hope so.
There are people that I work with once, and then we work together for the rest of our lives. Rick Springfield is one of those people. I met him when I was 23 years old in the 80s, just as Jesse's Girl was a huge hit. He was putting together a new band, and I did everything after that with him, all his world tours, all his records in the 80s. He's continued to tour. I went on to be a studio musician. And lately, I've started to work with him quite a bit again. Rick is a great guitar player, so he does most of his own guitars. But occasionally, he reaches out to other guitar players, and I'm one of them. When you're a session musician, you try and make the intro. You try and make the verse. You try and make the B section. You try and make the bridge. You try and transform the chorus. You try and do magic everywhere. And you get good stuff. You get great stuff. But once in a while, somebody will tell you your part made the song or made the chorus. Now, you try your hardest, you swing for the fences, sometimes you knock it out of the park. A lot of the time, you get a bass hit. You get the drift. So I'm going to show you this slide part, and it happened kind of spontaneously. He does the vocal, and I play in between the vocal, and at the end, I kind of play underneath. Now, I was going for a Beatle thing or a Badfinger thing. The key to it is doubling it, because if you double it, you get this desirable out-of-tuneness, and it sounds wide, and it reminds you of all those classic records. So I recommend that when you play a slide part and you want it to really pop, just double it, and you get the George Harrison thing in spades. It really works. Don't pan it. Make sure they're right on top of each other. That's the best way. So let's look at this part. I would say it qualifies as nursery rhyme simple. I talk about that a lot. I play parts that are that simple sometimes, especially if you're trying to come up with hooks. It's good for them to be really, really simple. So he sings and I play. He sings the first phrase and I go. He sings the second phrase and I go. He sings the third phrase. I repeat the first one. He sings the fourth phrase, and I do almost the same thing that I did on my second phrase, but I add an extra note at the top of it. So when he sings his second phrase, he says the word see. I stay clear of that. He sings his fourth phrase. He says the word free. I play on top of that, and it works for some reason. Now, I tried being on top of him on the second phrase when he said see, and it was too much. And when I tried not doing it on the fourth phrase, when he says the word free, something was lacking. So I created a rule and then I broke it and it worked. Let me demonstrate. To me, as the stars all burn to light the sky. see how that note is on top of the word free? I tried to take that out, but it wasn't as good. So what amazes me sometimes is something that works in one spot needs to be done the opposite way in another spot. And it just happens spontaneously. Let's do it one more time. It's right on top of his word free. And melodically, it even fights him a little bit, but it works. And I wouldn't change it. If I've ever known anybody that is the definition of a workaholic, it's you. And I was thinking the other day, our wives go out to lunch together almost every week. And if you and I went out to lunch together, it would be a nightmare for us. We'd be so restless.
Wow, Tim, we've been here 5 minutes. Are you good? I'm good.
Actually, I've been through it with you. It's great. And even when you work, you're one of the fastest people I've ever worked with. Your sense of momentum is really, really strong. And I really like that. I'm a believer in that.
I think we both have that. When you get an idea of the song, you go, and it basically is done like that. I mean, rarely do we, over all the years, rarely have we gone, I don't know. Let me take that home and see if I think that works. It's like pretty much instantaneous. So either yeah or no, and then we move on, which is great. I mean,
it is great.
I'm a workaholic. I think you might mean alcoholic, but I understand what.
No, I meant workaholic, but it's all comes from the same place. So while the slide part stole the show, there were a couple of other basic parts in the course that were very important. The one I started with was this. And that's doubled hard left and right. Not too distorted, so you can still hear the clarity of the chords. As the stars all burn to light the sky, as the winds run to reach the sea, we can no longer... And I play with the eighth notes, so they're kind of syncopated. And kind of random, and that way it kind of bounces a little bit, I feel. And then Rick asked me for an edge part, and it was so simple. I'd say never, ever be afraid to do a simple part like this. You tuck it down, it sounds like a keyboard or something. So that was the last thing. He asked me if I did it right away. It was easy to do. Just turned on some delay in the Eclipse. Kind of disappears under there. So I know you're putting a lot of ambition into your social media stuff right now.
I guess at Rick Springfield, gets to Instagram, gets to Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. I did a series of how to teaching how to play Jesse's Girl in 60 seconds, and kept getting interrupted by earthquakes and all kinds of stuff. At one point where I show the original, because I have the original lyrics of Jesse's Girl. I have all my original lyrics that I wrote. Every song I wrote, I still have the original lyric. So I made a copy of one, and it looked real, and then I'm showing it and saying there's something behind it. If you put a light behind it, you can see something, and suddenly it explodes into flames. It's pretty funny.
I'll have to check that out. Anyway, I want to do a video with you where we tell the story of Jesse's Girl. I mean, I played it with you like 200 to 400 times, but I didn't play on the original. We'll talk about Neil's great guitar part, and I'll teach his great solo.
I hadn't met you then. I met you in the second album with Don't Talk to Strangers and
that's right.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that. The thing I really enjoyed, when we went to the second verse... You think you're all alone. The second verse is always, okay, what am I going to do here that's really creative? Well, I wasn't really creative, but I loved this part because it just seemed kind of classic. Okay, so I'm going to clean it up, turn on the ventilator Leslie pedal. Turn off the delays. And that worked really well. To me, sometimes the simplest part you find is so rewarding. Just kind of follows the keyboard part down. Let me play along. You think you're all alone, sitting in some twilight zone, but right here, there's nothing to fear. This thing won't last forever. Yeah, I love the way that works. I tried speeding up the Leslie because that's one of my favorite things to do is while I play, speeding it up, but it was too distracting against the rhythm in the vocal. What I'm talking about is this. How it goes fast, and what I like to do is press on the button in real time so it's constantly slowing down and speeding up. Sometimes if you just get like a 10% spot where it speeds up, it can be really emotional. Let me demonstrate that. It was just that moment where it sped up and then it goes back to slow, because slow is often a more comfortable thing, and it certainly was in this second verse. In fact, I tried it in front of Rick. I had him on FaceTime, and he said, no, not the fast version. So, he came to the same conclusion quickly about it. We used the slow speed on the Leslie.
I just spoke to Matt Bissonette, who played bass on the track that we just did, which I guess we're calling The Wall Will Fall. Matt played bass on it because Matt tours with Elton John, and he's not on the road either. So, and Greg, who plays with Ringo, is not on the road. So we have you on it. So we have like all these great players that we're kind of going, guys, when can you record a track for us? And they go, let me check my schedule. I'm free. We're all kind of thinking of things to keep active and to keep the creativity flowing and not want to shoot ourselves in the face.